From various locations via the miracle of Skype, it's the 40th anniversary season of the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
And welcome to the program. How about this day, huh? It's going to be affected by rain all the way around. You think, well, we got Monaco running Formula One early. We got Indianapolis, which is about to get wet. We got Charlotte, which I don't even know the forecast there. And then, of course, the biggest event of the day, Slinger Speedway, which is already postponed until tomorrow. Hello there, Todd Bailing in beautiful Greendale, Wisconsin, joined across the state of Wisconsin by my three partners, starting with Brian Schmidt up in Oostburg, Wisconsin. Morning, Brian.
Morning. Yep, this is supposed to be the greatest racing day of the year, but yeah, there's a squall line hitting for Indianapolis, so it looks like they're probably going to get opening ceremonies and all that stuff in. I doubt they're going to go green because the last thing you want to do is be going 230 miles an hour when it decides to rain. Mm-hmm. So I would think they're going to wait, and then we're going to have to see how this goes. There's a lot of rain in that area, so this may be a Monday Indianapolis 500. For Kyle Larson's sake, that's what we hope it is.
Him, yeah. PJ Noodleman of Trempealeau, Wisconsin, over there on the other coast. Hi.
Hi there. I am really excited to see what Kyle Larson can do. He's already shown tremendous flexing in that Indy 500 qualifying.
I like the part when he grabbed that udder. That made my whole day. And of course, our producer, director Dan Margetta of St. Francis, Wisconsin.
Yeah, great day for racing. Watching it all on TV, I suppose, today with the weather coming in. But I think for Larson, the weather increases his chances of trying to win both of them. It won't be on the same day, so it wouldn't be as great of a feat. But it delayed Indy 500, I think, helps his chances to maybe win them both.
Yeah, it'd be an asterisk, right, in the record book. Yeah, one guy won it, but it rained and he got to do it in 2 days. Well, guess what? It's not easy. It's next to impossible to do this. We, among us yesterday, were sending texts back and forth. What do we really think the odds are that if both races were today, that Kyle Larson could win both? And Dan, you and I actually kind of agreed on a number there, about 100-1, I would think, are the odds. Can you imagine after going 200 laps at Indianapolis without lifting, really, except the pit, then going and get a IV or something and then go race 400 laps at Charlotte? The feat itself, just being able to complete it is a major undertaking. Now, we also agreed that if it's on separate days, and we understand that might happen if Indianapolis gets the rain and it gets rained until tomorrow, that the odds to do both would probably increase to what, 25-1, Dan?
Yeah, that's what I would say. I think of the two, if they ran it on the same day, the 600 is probably a little harder because it's later and you're already physically spent from being at Indy all day. If it's separate days, I think the Indy race is a harder one to win just because so much can throw that race off, so many little things, and you got to be so focused and sharp the whole way when he doesn't have the experience there that some of the other guys do as far as, when to pass cars, even when to pit and stuff like that. A lot of that makes a difference at Indy. So I think at separate days, the Indy 500 is a harder race to win than the 600. If it was on the same day, I think the 600 would be the harder one because it's late in the day and after you already, spent
Indy. I mean, you're really gassed at the end. Who was it? Was it Stewart had the best overall finish in the two, and he was just could hardly get out of the car at the end of that one, if I remember right. Of course, Stewart wasn't exactly the peak of physical.
I was going to say, he might have been a little more puffy at that point.
Puffy. There you go. He's lost weight.
Daddy.
He looks pretty good actually lately. I think he had to, to keep, the wife, I want to get fat, not you. There you go. So it's all good. The race itself will be televised on Fox. Now, I say the race. I'm talking about Charlotte, the World 600, a.k.a. Coca-Cola 600. The green flag is at 5:22 Central Time. Geez, we're going to be able to watch it now that Slinger's rained out tonight. An 87-degree day at Charlotte with a 30% chance of scattered showers tonight. It could be affected. Now, it seems like that on a 400-lap race, a little break in there, probably the drivers wouldn't mind it as much. But that's what they're looking at. The brakes, the stage brakes, lap 100, 200, 300, and it, of course, is a 400-lap race on a 1.5-mile track. Ty Gibbs wins his first pole, 183.955. How about that young man? He's been getting better. I mean, I picked him a couple times recently thinking he was ready for this, but, when you least expect it is when he's going to come through and kick everybody's behind and win this.
Well, repetition helps, too, and he ran really great yesterday in that Xfinity race to a point.
This is such a marathon race, and that track changes so much. It starts in the day, it ends at night. You got to keep up with the racetrack. If you don't keep up with changes, you're not going to do well. And you have to have a decent crew, and you have to have everything together. So it's a tough race to win.
And since this new car now, there's going to be a lot more dicing, a lot more passing ability. I mean, you're not going to have, at least I don't foresee having like we had several years ago where I think that was Truex that led all but like 5 laps of that 600-miler in an absolute snoozer. This new car now on the 1.5 miles, this might have as many lead changes as the Indy 500.
Jeez. Keeping in mind Truex, by the way, and how he dominated. Dan, you were there for that one, if I remember. In fact, you were there for a bunch of them. I'll give you a sneak preview. Truex is ready. I think it's going to be one of those dreaded Japanese cars, and I think that 19 is poised and ready to redo it again after that run a couple of years ago. That made me think, he's pretty good at this track, We would like you to tune in to the program, not just tune in, but go ahead and join us if you have anything that you'd like to bring up or to our attention. The number is 414-421-7901. Remember that. I don't think I'll remind you anymore. The people that tune in kind of know that number in the back of their head. They've done some racing at Charlotte already this week. That's right. We started with the ARCA cars. Carson Kvapil led more than half of the laps and ended up second to Tanner Gray. Then we had a truck race that, I thought Ty was really going to be in a position to win this thing. And yet, no, again, a problem towards the end of the race, finished back. Nick Sanchez wins it. Of course, it seems like not that Ty needs any motivation when he comes back to Wisconsin or runs a short track race after that. But boy, oh boy, he certainly takes it out on the rest of those short trackers. And the Xfinity Series ran yesterday. What an event that was. Chase Elliott, if you don't think it means a lot to those guys to win any race, Chase was a pretty happy guy after that was a fun race to watch. Did any of my 3 partners get the chance to watch that thing yesterday?
Listen to it, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I listened to the majority of it when I was driving down to Jefferson, but I did not hear the end of it. But he started 30th in that race. Chase did, so that's a heck of a run.
I saw the highlights, and if I wasn't an Austin Hill fan before, I'm not afterwards, I guess. He kind of flat wrecked the Cole Custer after they got together.
Yeah.
Drove him down the stretch and driving on the inside wall.
Talk about a short temper. It must have something to do with Childress, which, we're going to get into that soon here. But it seemed to me there was some racing, hard racing and some fender banging, and somebody scraped the wall a little bit. And the next thing you know, I can't believe some of the what happens here. The frustration level. Because of the expectations you have racing and the expense and, any race, it seems like, could put your whole career on the line. The pressure is unbelievable. And some of these guys just are having a hard time with the pressure. And they just snap over crazy things, which, speaking of crazy things, last week's All-Star race was supposed to be quite the show. Yeah, it was a show, all right. Not on the racetrack, in the pits, which we will talk about after we take a break. We're glad you're tuned in this Memorial Day weekend. Don't forget, it's not about being a veteran. It's about those who gave their lives for this country. We'll be right back.
There's Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years, PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Racing at the Fair Park in Plymouth this Friday with the Dairyland Classic Motorcycles. Saturday, June 1st, the Soybird Calf Ranch's Super 6 Late Model Series, Akrite Auto Sprint Cars with driver introductions, Oosburg Automotive Grand Nationals, and Sheboygan Flooring B-Mods, all in one night. Grandstand opens at 4:30, opening ceremony at 6. We'll see you there.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com.
Behind the net, he centers for Avanasti, and he scores! The Milwaukee Admirals will host the Grand Rapids Griffins Sunday at 5 p.m. at UW Milwaukee Panther Arena. It's Game 5 in the best-of-5 series Central Division Final. Shot by Livingstone, scored! Pre-game coverage starts at 4:30.
iHeartRadio.
Welcome back. Don't forget to download the podcast, the LTN podcast, available on iHeart, iTunes, and all major platforms. And speaking of wonderful things to listen and watch, the Racing Nuggets podcast is always good. We have our own. Can I call you our own, PJ?
Sure.
I like that. You fit right in nicely with this group, by the way. If I haven't mentioned that before, I think you've got a future in this business. PJ Noodleman, the Racing Nuggets program. The podcast this week is a pretty good one.
Chris Weinkauf was the guest, with his mustache. And he had a good run last night at Jefferson as crew chief for Levon Vandergeest, fast time and a P2 finish.
You know, I saw him at Slinger last week, and I said, geez, I don't think I've ever met you before. And he says, yes, actually, you interviewed me once. And I went, oh, yeah. You know, like I remembered, which, of course, I didn't. It was at the Slinger National, and it was a while back, apparently.
Well, you interview a lot of people, so.
Yeah, usually I remember, though. I mean, I haven't killed off that many. Yeah, I guess I have, now that you mention it. So the All-Star race, I know. Let's take this show to North Wilkesboro. Let's leave the track the way it has been. We'll just shave off all the trees that have grown through it, and we'll run a race on this terrible old pavement, and it should be a good race. Nah, I guess it wasn't a good race. We had one leader for the whole show, and it wasn't very good. I know. Let's spend a bunch of money and repave the place. Then we'll put on a good show. Not just that. Let's do a bunch of testing and come back with not one, not two, but 3 different tire compounds, which we will let them make their mind up to make this a really, really good show when they want to use it. And, 199 out of 200 laps, Joey Logano led last week. It was a stinky-ass race. I'm sorry. I didn't like it. The best part was watching Kyle Larson come after taking tires late to come back and see if he can actually win it. And, of course, he did not. Logano, taking nothing away from him, he did what he had to do. However, zip, 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 we're backing up to the beginning of the race. we were just a little impatient, perhaps. Here you got Kyle Busch, who is starting in his more customary back marker starting spot, and he's racing with Ricky Stenhouse. Stenhouse is, they're putting on a show here. Let's show this new pavement. Let's show this great car. I'm going to go through and I'm going to put a fender into Kyle Busch. Well, that didn't seem like it was a really good plan, because Kyle Busch purposely took him out. What was it, 2 laps in or 3?
Lap 2.
Lap
and
2.
Ricky didn't get into him either. Kyle just washed up and Ricky filled the hole. When he looked at the replay later,
there was contact. But either way, yeah, Kyle lost his mind, which, he used to do more often, it seems like, and he's been better lately. The trouble is he's really frustrated with his, he wants to be winning races. He's got the talent to be winning races, and it just doesn't add up to his career right now after being let go by Joe Gibbs and taking an inferior ride at Childress. I think it is clearly inferior. Plus, they were on trying to get their program back on track, and he's getting pushed around, and he lost his mind, and he purposely took out the 47 car. And Stenhouse was really mad. I mean, there's a lot of, you make it into the show, your sponsors are all watching, and it's a big deal, and you get taken out on the second lap. So you can't leave the track. There's no way out. So Stenhouse had quite a bit of time to sit and decide what he was going to do. In fact, when he was interviewed, he says, I think you should watch after the race. Something to those.
He said, I think I'm going to have someone hold my watch after the race. Remember that?
What a great line. That's just beautiful. So he goes up and confronts Kyle, and they're talking very closely. And I don't think that Kyle Busch expected the last words that Ricky said was, I never touched you. Go back and watch it. And then out of nowhere came that right hand, and that's what it sounded like. It was awesome. And of course, by then, everybody in the hey, if you got a camera, if I were you, I'd be going over by Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse after the, and if you haven't seen it in every possible angle, it's out there and you can watch it. But so you got smacked the $75,000 fine. It was a non-points race, and I missed it. They didn't fine him any points, did they?
No, just money. No. But then they used that all week long. That was like the story that took some of the pizzazz away from Indy, because we saw the pit fight was everywhere, and they put it on their social media and promoted it. I should sell some kind of like name, likeness, and image thing for those guys, because they used their image to promote the thing and then find the guy $75,000. And
Kyle Busch got no penalty whatsoever for intentionally wrecking another car. In fact, when it was over, he was standing on the trailer and they were bitching at each other. That's the most F-bombs I have heard in a short amount of time ever.
Stenhouse told, I'm going to wreck you at Charlotte.
Yeah. And then Kyle, he did say, as he was standing there, I suck just as bad as you. Well, that makes it really, really worthwhile then. I think that we can just agree on that. But
and then, while we're in the middle of this big, deal with the charters and all that kind of stuff, you get the presser with Chase Elliott sitting there, and Bob Pockrass asked Elliott, what do you think about the fine? And Elliott didn't know the number. So they tell him the number, $75,000, and Elliott pauses, and he's like, holy cow, I didn't know that. And he thinks about what he says, and then Elliott says, I don't know how you can fine a guy $75,000 and then use that footage all week to promote everything. He goes, that just isn't right. That isn't the way we should be doing stuff here. I don't like it. And he said it like 4 times. I don't like it. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you already got enough, friction between NASCAR and all the drivers, and now they go and they pull something like this.
And somebody went back and looked, and Kalen Donnie got fined for that Daytona fight, but they got their money back for good behavior afterwards.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Dan, and that leads me here, and you guys can, give me your thoughts on this. Do you think they really are expecting 75,000, or they say we had to say that, we had to make it look good,
If they do that, there's no way Ricky Stenhouse is going to keep his mouth shut, though. Maybe not, maybe for now, but down the road he'll say something about it.
Yeah, there's that. I don't know. It all makes it worthwhile. I suck just as bad as you. Awesome. We'll be back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
This is Two Pros and a Cup of Joe.
I could take 30 players right now in the NBA and throw them in the NFL. You cannot take 30 NFL players and put them in the NBA.
Whoa. I mean, I'm with him.
He's not entirely wrong. Here's honestly why I think a guy like Austin Rivers feels this way. This is what the league's done.
Two Pros, LeVar Arrington, Brady Quinn, and a Cup of Joe, Jonas Knox.
Weekday mornings, 5 to 8 a.m. on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Brian made some mention of the charter and negotiations for the new contract coming up next year. Boy, oh boy, they threw a curveball this week. Now they're talking about a 3 charter maximum per team, with 2 cars being rumored to be grandfathered in, the Gibbs and Hendrick teams. Gee, it's funny that that's the way it's supposed to go, because Stewart-Haas has 4 charters. Apparently, everybody believes that they're going to completely disband right now. We went from possibly 1 to possibly 2 to let's just sell this whole outfit. And since that's happening, the price, it's all about supply and demand. The rumored price is now dropped per charter to between 20 and 30 million. New low price, only $20 million. Think about that. So what we have to look at is, if that actually happens and Stewart-Haas completely disbands, first of all, 3 charters. That's amazing right there. That's just to make more charters available so that we spread the wealth around, apparently, I guess. But let's look at who might be looking. There's charter hunters out there. Front Row Motorsports, which is the one that's been rumored to possibly be combining possibly with the Stewart-Haas. I don't know about that. Trackhouse is looking for 2 charters because they have 2 drivers that are under contract, and one of them is being loaned out right now. Richard Childress Racing,
but
apparently
they have 2 drivers already, and if they 3, they
2
can't.
2 on the outside looking in, so they're looking for 2 more.
But if they cut it to 3, they can't have 2 more.
Oh, boy, they just got to pay a guy. I'm not sure that's a big deal. It's been done before. Then you've got Childress, supposedly, is already sharpening his claws. He wants Noah Gregson because Gregson brings Bass Pro Shops over, and he thinks that he needs a charter for Gregson. And then there's always the rumors about 2311. They want to add to their team. Legacy Motorsport or Motor Club, they're talking about it. And then don't forget about Junior, who always has been talking about adding one. Gee whiz.
Porsche in there too. I mean, they got that 60 car.
Yeah, Roush. Yeah, I never even thought about that one. And that has been talked about recently, and that would up them to 3 charters. It's pretty amazing when you look at what has happened. I don't know how it's all going to work into the negotiations, but this is a pretty big deal right now, and we'll see. As we like to say, we'll see. Is it really 3? Is Stuart Haas going to really sell everything? Are they going to, there's so much that can happen. It's fun to watch, and we'll keep an eye on negotiations. A couple other things that have been happening that are pretty interesting stuff. Our guy up in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Parker Retzlaff. Dan, I don't know where you got that picture that you sent to us this week, but there is a cup car sitting in Richard Childress Racing right now, literally with Retzlaff's name over the window.
It was on X. It was the old Twitter is now called X. It was on there. That's where I first saw it, and I'm not sure where it came from, but it kind of stirred a lot of, replies and everything on that. I mean,
he's done all right for himself with with his limited experience. He's come in and he's run pretty well. He's actually helping that team out that he's with, and they're not terribly bad. But the question that that floats around out there is, where the hell does he get this kind of money? You guys talked insider trading with someone from finding out what it would cost to drive for Childress, right?
Well, I talked to, his money that he's running the Xfinity Series all comes from the Funkaway group. And I talked to the Funkaway guy when we were at Daytona right before it rained on that Saturday. So somehow Parker just ran into that guy, and they worked out. I'm sure there's a lot of moving parts behind it, but was able to come up with the deal to get the full deal for his Xfinity program. So now how that relates to Childress, Childress is awfully pricey. So I don't know how anything would work there, or where he would fit in, or how Jordan Anderson Racing even connects with Childress Racing. I'm not even sure how that would all work together.
There's a lot of alliance there between those two. But we knew when they were looking to fill the 2-car on the Xfinity Series last year, we had heard that what Childress was looking for was a lot of money for that, because they already have sponsorship from Whelen, and they were looking for even more. So if somebody brought money to the table, they would only get their sponsor only get maybe like 2 races instead of the whole season, because Whelan's on that car already. So we kind of knew that way that it took a lot of money to get the Childress.
Yeah. Well, good for Parker Retzlaff. We don't know where. All it showed was a car sitting there with his name on it. So interesting that he would be. By the way, some dude named Leclerc just won.
Charles Leclerc.
Shaw. Just won.
Americanize it.
Charlie had just won the Formula race at Monaco. And I think even more than that, the headline is Verstappen loses 2 in a row. That's how it is.
Also, the Indy 500 has officially been delayed. There's lightning in the area, so they are trying to clear everybody out of there, and they're not going to even start the pre-race stuff on time.
All right, so, I don't know if this has come out yet, but what happens if the 500 is delayed enough so that Larson has to make a choice?
Well, they already interviewed Larson this morning, and all his team and everybody has made the commitment to the Indianapolis 500. So It sounds like if they plan on running this race at all today, which they have no lights there, so they're their time frame there isn't like you are at Charlotte, that he'll hang around here as long as it looks like they're going to try to run the Indy 500.
So what is the latest that they could run today?
Yeah,
I do not know.
No, sun goes down about 8 o'clock?
Yeah, something like that. Well, yeah, and they're on the far end of the Eastern time zone, so they probably have until
4 or 5 o'clock. Maybe?
Yeah.
Practice was one thing, but Harvick isn't jumping in that 5 car. Who's
I believe Justin Allgaier is the man.
But here's the deal: he's already qualified for the playoffs because he's got to win. But part of the thing is that you have to start every race too. You need a waiver if you don't start every race. So if he doesn't race Charlotte today, he's going to have to get a waiver from NASCAR to be in the championship.
And if you get a waiver for this, what wouldn't they give a waiver for?
Well, they give waivers for just about everything. So, yeah. I mean,
if they don't give one, they're going to get just unruliness. Yeah.
That would be a PR nightmare. There will be a waiver. If he, for some reason, can't climb in that 5 car tonight and run the 600, there'll be a waiver.
It's a great thing for NASCAR having one of their best drivers and a former champion racing at Indianapolis. So, yeah, you're right. The PR would be terrible. We'll be back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Racing at the Fair Park in Plymouth this Friday with the Dairyland Classic Motorcycles. Saturday, June 1st, the Soybird Calf Ranch's Super 6 Late Model Series. 8-grade auto sprint cars with driver introductions. Oostburg Automotive Grand Nationals and Sheboygan Flooring B-Mods. All in one night. Grandstand opens at 4:30, opening ceremony at 6. We'll see you there.
It's a bird. It's a plane. The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick. Yeah!
Reggie Bush. You want to give him his Heisman back? Or are you giving USC? I mean, USC is the one that paid the price. I mean, Reggie Bush didn't get a trophy. He still got drafted high, second pick overall? USC lost a lot. Scholarships, national title, Pete Carroll leaves. There was a lot attached to this.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Well, one of our Wisconsin, we talk about Rhinelander's Parker Retzlaff. How about Richfield's Josh Balicki, who so far in his career, what we know is he's really good at finding money. He has found enough money to get himself into races in cars that are less than competitive. So, we don't know much about how he races, really. If you're going to be in a backmarker car, how good is he? We don't know. Well, we're going to find out because this week it came out that he's going to be driving a Gibbs car in a, quote, few Xfinity races this year. Well, great news. It starts next week when they go to Portland, Oregon, and race a road course out there. Boy, it's actually kind of exciting. I just can't wait to see Josh Balicki in a competitive car. I think I'm not the only one of this group, right?
No, and this is something he's been talking about. And last year I talked to him when he was running a sprint car at Plymouth late in the season, and he made reference to wanting to do that was his dream scenario, that if he could come up with enough money and convince someone, he could pull off something similar to what Ryan Preece did when he did a couple one-offs with Gibbs. And I didn't hear anything about it. We talked to him at Daytona and really didn't make much reference to it. And by Joe, this week he came up with that information. I'm like, good for you. So the only sad part is, and the only sad part of the whole situation is that it's unfortunate that Road America doesn't have the Xfinity Series this year, because I think that would have been a slam dunk. And if this is the one year that they don't have it because of the Olympics, that's unfortunate. But hopefully he can go out there and do well. I mean, you got to be thinking, top 5 or bust at the worst, in one of those cars to really make a statement.
Yeah. I remember back to the Kelly Byers day when he was trying to hook up and looking for money, and he came up with
$250,000.
Yeah, $250,000 or thereabouts, and rented a Gibbs car for one race in what was then the Busch Series. And some guy got into him. He wrecked early, and that was the end of it, and kind of the end of his career too, because it's expensive to find to be able to afford to run in a decent competitive car. And I can't. I'm trying to think. It was a Milwaukee company that sponsored him too, and I'm trying to think of it. But either way, let's keep our fingers crossed that Josh can have a good run, and it's on a road course, which he's a road course specialist and ringer. There you go. And that this would be a really nice place for him. Hey, we talked about the All-Star race last week at North Wilkesboro, and the fact that they had these new tires, this option tire. Nobody expected what happened last week, and that was that you had the red tires, which were the softest compound. You were required to start the race on those tires, and it turns out that they didn't wear out anywhere near as fast as anybody thought they would, and because part of it was tested during the day, and the race was run at night, and what a huge difference it made. And they stayed on those tires all night long. They ran half of the race on a set, and they didn't even need the yellow ones or the harder compounds. In fact, didn't somebody take those harder? A bunch of cars took the harder compound, and it didn't do anything for them, right?
No, and that whole thing, you know, when I was listening to some of that last week, one of the biggest gripes from a lot of the crew chiefs was that NASCAR told them what compound to start with.
Yeah,
I think if you want to really make this what it is, you got to give the teams the option. Don't hedge one way or the other. So, I mean, if you would have had guys starting on the hard compound and then switching over to the softs, maybe you would have had some more coming and going on in that race. But the fact that NASCAR started by saying, well, this is what you guys got to start on, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of the whole plan. And I think if you're going to try to do this again going forward, maybe during the daytime at a race, you know, just leave it wide open. Let them figure out what you're going to do if you're going to do the 2 compound thing. It's what they do in IndyCar and Formula One, and you see different strategies all race long.
They talked to several of the crew chiefs after all week long. They've been weighing in, and the crew chiefs all agree that they want that red tire for all the short tracks this year. Would improve the racing, improve the strategy, and they all said the same thing. And you really need to run that tire at Phoenix. Now, keep in mind, you know, that is a sun-tested tire. So most, you know, especially Phoenix in the fall, it would be really neat to maybe even run a softer tire. Whatever happened, you know, didn't we have such great results with that Bristol tire that we wanted to use it again?
You would have thought so. Boy, can you imagine at Phoenix if you have a tire option, throwing that into the crew chief's lap when you're ready to win a championship? Ooh, big time pucker factor on the box then.
Heck yeah.
And compelling to watch too. And I think that NASCAR needs, you know, they come up with stuff constantly, new curves to throw at everybody. Well, that would be a pretty good one. I kind of like the thought of it.
Yeah, if they don't want to change the car for the short track and we're stuck with this car and everything we have with it, then you're going to have to try other things like this. We all know there's other options out there to make the racing better. You know, with the horsepower, we've talked about that forever, and other people have suggested maybe this tire is too wide for short track racing too. You get way too much grip and you can't pass, you know, changing that up. If they're not going to change any of those things, then we at least have to explore this option a little deeper and see if we can make something out of it.
But then you run into that thing at your championship race, and do you really want to add another gimmick type thing to decide your champion? I mean, we don't.
Yeah.
Of course, NASCAR wants to do that.
Yes, yes, they do, and especially since it really hasn't been. Well, the racing there at Phoenix isn't that great.
And it was like, hey, okay, it's a Super Bowl. You got 5 downs to make 10 yards now. You know, they don't do that.
True.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Yeah, unfortunately, we'll just.
I mean, I think at Phoenix, if you were to do this, because that race still has the old format with the practice, where you get an hour of practice or 50 minutes. I think that would give them, and it's during the daylight, that would give the teams enough chance to go out there, test both sets of tires. You know, and maybe even have to throw in another practice if you really want to do it. But I think you got to, if you're going to do that there, you got to give the teams enough time to get enough data so that they know what their decisions are making while the race is going on.
And then give them a limited amount of tires to use, with you know, and have the harder tires last a lot longer. Oh boy, that would make for some compelling stuff, wouldn't it? Those crew chiefs would be earning their money on that deal. So make some decisions here. Hey, with the cookie cutter tracks racing being as good as it has been among, you know, we're trying to think of, you know, what would make things better. Well, that's mostly for short tracks because the 1.5 miles has been pretty good. Matt Weaver, the godlike writer that he is, said this week a couple things that I thought were pretty interesting. Take the All-Star race back to Charlotte where it belongs, where it started, and change the Wilkesboro race to an actual Cup playoff points race. Ooh, When we talk about compelling, I've never been a fan of the Roval, and I think that could go away, and I'd be fine with that. But I don't know that's going away anywhere in the near future. Do you guys? I don't think so.
All-Star race back. I mean, they had a 2-week deal. It was always, Indy had the month of May. Charlotte had those 2 weeks with the All-Star race and the 600, and people kind of went to both of them that way. Trouble with when they had it at Charlotte, they started doing the segments, and the guys just ran at each other. He had no cars left at the end. It became a crash fest. I think that's why they kind of moved it. But
I can see this being the last Roval, and I would like to see the Cup cars at Wilkesboro with all of them. I mean, that's another thing you dealt with last week. You only had 20 cars out there, so there's no traffic to deal with. Traffic on short tracks oftentimes creates the drama and the ability to try to find lanes and get by it, and that can close people up. So, truck race ran real well, and you had 36 trucks out there for that.
By the way, the North Wilkesboro track is now called NASCAR's Field of Dreams track. What a perfect name for that place. And we didn't mention it before, but the Open last week, Ty Gibbs led every lap of that one. Oh, boy, a lot of good racing, huh? Or not. We'll be back.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Love it. Embrace it. Right now. The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
Referees. They said it's a fact, and it's a proven fact, that you get more calls at home.
Any coach complaining about the officiating over the weekend? Felt like that's what everybody was doing prior to the weekend. Rick Carlisle, okay? Now, if I'm Rick Carlisle, don't stop. You won, don't stop.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
Busy week of racing across the country here. We will start Tuesday night. Terre Haute, Indiana. The USAC Amsoil National Sprint Car Series was there. Logan Seavey got the win. Wednesday night, Spencer, Iowa, the Clay County Speedway. The $250,000 challenge was supposed to be a 3-day show. Monday, they got the heats in, and then it rained. Tuesday, the wicked weather in Iowa wiped it out. So they ran features on Wednesday. It's supposed to be $25,000 to win. They lowered the purse a little bit because of the one-day event. $16,000 to win in an IMCA stock car, and Ricky Thornton Jr. hopped in it and won. Boy, he's even taking the money from them guys. Unbelievable. Modifieds were also there, and Tom Berry Jr. won that. Webster City, Iowa, the Hamilton County Speedway for the USMTS Modifieds. Jim Chisholm was your winner. And Indianapolis, Indiana on Wednesday, Circle City Raceway for the USAC Amsoil National Sprint Cars. Brady Bacon got the win. Thursday night, West Union, Iowa, the Fayette County Speedway for the USMTS Modifieds. Jim Chisholm again. Indianapolis, Indiana, night number 2 at Circle City Raceway for the Amsoil USAC National Sprint Cars. Logan Seavey, his second win of the week. And in Wheatland, Missouri, the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series was at the Lucas Oil Speedway for night number 1 of the Show Me 100. $10,000 to win. Ricky Thornton Jr. was there. Ricky Thornton Jr. took the money. So start adding that up if you got calculators there. That's 16 on one night. That's 10 another night. We go to Friday, Fountain City, Wisconsin. The Mississippi Thunder Speedway for the USMTS Modifieds, Brandon Davis was your winner. Chillicothe, Ohio at the Atomic Speedway for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, David Gravel continued his dominance. I believe that was his 7th feature win of the year on Friday night. Elkin, North Carolina, the Ultimate Motorsports Park for the World of Outlaw Case Construction late models. They had twin $4,000 to win preliminary features. Ross Bales and Bobby Pierce were your winners there. Back to Wheatland, Missouri for night number 2 of the Show Me 100 for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. Another $10,000 up for grabs. And you guessed it, Ricky Thornton Jr. grabbed another 10 grand. So that's 10, 20, that's 36,000. And it's only Friday night.
Arizona's own.
Yep. Saturday night, the big main event for the World of Outlaw Late Models was rained out. Francis Crick, Wisconsin, the 141 Speedway. In the Modifieds, it was Chris Pigeon. Stock Cars, Luke Lemons. And Grand Nationals was Greg Hayes. Shawano, late... Yeah, I've never heard of that guy. It's a good win for him. Probably his first.
No kidding.
Shawano, the late models, Troy Springborn was your winner. In the Modifieds, Jaden Schmidt. And the Stock Cars was Trent Nolan. Wilmot, the IRA 410 Sprints was there. Scotty Neitzel, the Ageless Wonder, got the win. The Wingless Sprints went to Tristan Furseth. New Richmond, Wisconsin, Cedar Lake Speedway, the USRA Limited Late Models were the headliner. Cade Nelson got the win. Up at Rice Lake, the Wissota Late Models, Danielle Bargender was your winner. Spring Valley, Minnesota, the Deer Creek Speedway for the USMTS Modifieds, Lucas Schott got the win. Fairbury, Illinois, $20,000 to win for the UMP Modifieds, and Mike Harrison grabbed the money. The UMP Late Models were also there, and Jason Feger grabbed the win there. Indianapolis, Indiana, this is on the pavement, but these are dirt cars. The USAC Silver Crown Series rained out Friday night. They ran it Saturday morning for the Hoosier 100, $26,000. $26,000 to win on a Saturday morning. What more could you ask for? Cody Swanson got the win there. And then most of those guys packed up and went to Anderson, Indiana, again on the pavement, but these are dirt cars for the 76th annual Little 500 for the non-wing sprint cars, and Caleb Armstrong got the win there. Ryan Newman was in that race, and he finished 6th. Chillicothe, Ohio, night number 2 at the Atomic Speedway for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. Sheldon Houdenchild got the win. And the big money race of the weekend, Wheatland, Missouri, Lucas Oil Speedway for the Show Me 100, $50,000 to win. You're all probably going to think I'm going to say Ricky Thornton Jr., but he did not win that race. Jonathan Davenport, the other big money man, grabbed the big money and won the Show Me 100 and the $50,000 that was along with it. Next weekend, Dan and I, when we talk about money, Dan and I are heading to the western side of the state, Mississippi Thunder Speedway in Fountain City for a $100,000 to win modified race next week. I believe there's over 300 entries in this. It's a first-time event. They're going to
find right? It's capped. You can't if you're thinking of driving and going out there to race there. If you're not already in, don't think about it.
They're combining all the different modifieds. So you can have UMP cars, USMTS cars, IMCA cars, Wissota cars. It's a first-time event. It's going to be very interesting, and we'll hopefully be reporting next week at this time. I think the weather's going to be good. As who is a new $100,000 winner with a modified.
Awesome. Well, on the pavement side, where they seemingly wreck more and get paid less, we had the ASA Stars Tour running at Hickory on Thursday. The winner was Cole Butcher. Notables from the Midwest, Kraus was P9, Swalich was 10th, and Austin Nason finished 12th. At Kaukauna, Wisconsin International Raceway Thursday night, late models were in action. Brent Strilka won, and in the super late models, it was Maxwell Schultz. Friday had rainouts kind of all over the area, but Hawkeye Downs did get their action in. Griffin McGrath won the late models there, and the ARCA Series running down at Charlotte. As mentioned previously on the broadcast, Tanner Gray was your winner there. On Saturday, last night, Dells Raceway Park, the CWRA late models had twin features. Derek Gress and Tyler Sauter were your winners. The overall winner was Mark Mackesy. Late models also running at Dells. Morgan Schissel was your winner. Schissel. It sounds like whistle. At Lacrosse, NASCAR late models running. Jacob Gady dominating, and pretty normal fashion for him at Lacrosse. Marshfield super late models. Derek Van Driel was your winner. And last night at Jefferson Speedway, the ASA Midwest Tour in action. It was a slobber knocker and a bit of a snoozer. Ty Majeski was your winner.
There was literally a pile of cars in that race. I mean,
yeah,
you don't often see that, but there was a pile of super late models in turn number 3. It's like, wow.
A couple of really bad accidents early going. I just managed to look at the clock. It took 45 minutes to complete 13 laps. Think about that. The rest of the time was spent cleaning up the mess. It took 1 hour to do 41 laps. And of course, it is a 100-lap event. And when they finally clean everything up, you got one guy that absolutely knocked the living crap out of everybody else. It all has to do with some kind of plastic French fry.
Yes, it was the lucky French fry.
Toby apparently has a plastic French fry that his granddaughter gave to him. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Lost since. It seems to me that there's some motivation for Ty after he has a lousy run in a truck that he comes out and kicks everybody's ass on the short track.
Yes. That's all I'll say to that. Absolutely.
So it was but there was some good racing for second, third, and fourth. I think a lot of people, myself included, thought that perhaps Ty was going to have to deal with Casey Johnson, but Casey just didn't quite make it up that far.
Hey, and don't kid yourself. Levon Vandergeest, I mean, that kid is coming along, setting fast time and finishing P2 in that race. That's pretty damn stout.
Yeah, we'll talk about Slinger and some other stuff when we come back.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com. Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Behind the net, he centers for Romanowski, he scores! The Milwaukee Admirals will host the Grand Rapids Griffins Sunday at 5 p.m. at UW Milwaukee Panther Arena. It's Game 5 in the Best of 5 Series Central Division Final. Shot by Livingston, scored! Pre-game coverage starts at 4:30.
iHeartRadio.
Last week at Slinger Speedway, it was round 2 of the Elite 8 Super Late Model Series. Only 8 trips for the Supers, not including the Nationals. You got to hand it to Gabe Summers. He doesn't do all that well at Slinger and wants to be good and comes all the way down and races with us just to get better because he wants to win the Slinger Nationals. And I'll be darned, but he won his first ever feature last week at Slinger Speedway. I talked to him a little bit while we were getting ready to do the introductions, and he says, I'm just trying to get better. I said, well, it's funny. It's a kind of a track where sometimes you can have all the talent in the world, like, say, for instance, Johnny Sauter, who has never had real good luck at Slinger, and he keeps working at it to get better, and it hasn't been the greatest trip for him. And then there's a guy like Nate Hosley who showed up at Slinger and for the first time for the Slinger Nationals and won it. Imagine it's not an easy thing to do, and yet there are some guys that just get in there and just take off. Either way, Gabe Summers won his first feature last week, and it's pretty cool. He is a shirt tail relation to the late great Rich Summers, who drove the number 15, always a Ford, sponsored by Kopp's Food Stores, and was one of the regulars while I was the announcer back in the old days, just starting out. So it's come all the way around to Gabe Summers. And now, as far as Slinger Speedway, tonight is one of the bigger races of the year at Slinger Speedway. The E.H. Wolf and Sons fireworks special. We are already announcing that the race is going to the rain date tomorrow night, Memorial Day. We get underway same time. Time trials are a little after 4, and the racing is at 6. A little after 5, and the racing is at 6:30. We will have fireworks tomorrow night. It'll be just like a regular Sunday, actually. But, this is the thing about Slinger. This was a Sunday night where, you got a holiday weekend and all of that. It's just infuriating. The weather. We're not the only track that's had to deal with weather this year. So lots of them are definitely affected by the weather all year long.
It's weird when you're outside, weather could be a factor.
No kidding. The Hall of Fame announced the new class of 25, and congratulations to Carl Edwards, Ricky Rudd, and Ralph Moody. Unfortunately, it seems to me that if there's nobody that really is a shining example of what the Hall of Fame is supposed to be, we don't need just to put people in just so we can have a ceremony. I'm sorry. Carl Edwards, yes, he had 28 wins. He never won a championship. He never won the Daytona 500. He did win one Xfinity Series championship. Ricky Rudd had 23 wins. His biggest win of his life was the 1997 Brickyard. He never won a championship. He never won Daytona, and yet here we are. These guys are in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. We lowered the bar far enough. Ralph Moody definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't know what you guys think of that. Yes, Carl Edwards, I think he's going in because of his awesome backflips.
Yeah, probably. He's one of those guys where if he would have hung around, we're always going to say the what if. What if he would have hung around and kept racing? How many would he have been able to win a championship finally? I mean, he was so close so many times.
He had 2 of them I took away from him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Frustrated. I understand that he's frustrated and all that, but Hall of Fame is the creme de la creme. This is not just, let's put some guys in so we can have a ceremony. Not that Ricky Rudd and Carl Edwards are some guys. They had great careers. I just don't agree that they had Hall of Fame careers. That's all. And but nobody really called and asked me.
It's the day and age we live in now. It's the participation trophy era. Everybody gets a participation trophy.
And there's younger people running things at NASCAR now, so that's their mentality, perhaps.
Yeah. We had, it may have been a stinky race last week, but the numbers on television were up 17% over the year before. Now, that was on FS1. Imagine if it was actually on the network or something. So it's pretty great right there, I think. In other news items, Teresa Earnhardt has owned the number 8 logo. Not the number 8. Nobody owns the number 8, but the logo that was run on her husband's DEI team, and that her stepson Dale Jr. drove. She owned the rights to the logo, which is just the way the style is on the font. How about that? It's the font. Well, she loses it, or didn't want to have it renewed on June 3rd. So Dale Jr. has already applied for the trademark.
What the font? What? You know what? Maybe that's a precursor for Dale Jr. starting to look at one of those charters in a partnership with somebody.
Interesting. Hey, what did you guys? Oh, you didn't see the race yesterday. I got to tell you, it was the all driver announcers yesterday for the Xfinity race, and boy, I really, really enjoyed it a lot. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that did. The 2 guys in the booth were Joey Logano and our champion in the 12 car.
Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney. And
I believe Jones was in there too.
And Eric Jones was there, but I thought that the exchange was pretty good when there was an accident that took out Gregson, and they showed a woman with a Gregson shirt on. She goes, WTF. You can read her lips, and they go, what was she talking about? And Blaney says, I think it had something to do with a duck. Oh, it was great. Hey, just want everybody to remember our partner and friend, Ed Kluka, passed away on May 28th. That's a year this coming Tuesday. It's amazing how quickly the time goes. Hey, real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Our engineer is Matt Lothy. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@LTNRadioNetwork.com. Find us at Facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.